Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Dozy Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Welcome to the Tuesday edition Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. Andy Isco with us from Vegas here in a little bit. We do first class, second class, and no class on Tuesdays. Glad that you're with us here from those. Well, the United States eliminated 4-1 by Belgium yesterday in the type of match that I just did not imagine was going to happen. This United States team that we've been, following throughout the World Cup, who got off to such a fantastic start that had kind of ignited some hope that things would be a little bit different this time, from the home crowds to the increased offense at the beginning, a high-priced and very successful coach, and a run that seemed to be at least favorable. I wouldn't go so far as to use the word set up, but favorable to get them to the round of 8, which they've only been to one time. Well, none of that happened yesterday, as a more experienced Belgium team took control from the very beginning of this thing and exploited something that has been talked about an awful lot, which is the United States defense, and specifically in this game at one point the goalkeeper, to get out to a quick lead and then extend that lead. The United States was able to tie it very briefly on a Malik Tillman free kick that was deflected and got in. But it took Belgium exactly 61 seconds to reclaim the lead, and they never gave it up from that point. Added a goal to go 3-1, tacked a late goal at the very end to make it a 4-1 final. This was disappointing on just so many levels. Maybe it could have taken losing to Belgium, but to go out and this was a dud from, 3 minutes in, you could look in and see, man, it's just not there. The older and presumably less athletic, I'm going to let you guys comment on that stuff, Belgium team looked to me, and I'll use this analogy if this makes any sense to you guys, like an NBA team that knows exactly when to turn it on in the playoffs, a veteran team that you may not get max for 82 games. You may not get max in a late season situation. But when the playoffs come around, they know what it takes to win, and they looked faster than the United States, which on paper they're not. They certainly looked more inspired than the Americans, which, the game's in Seattle, crowd's doing all it can. It fell so flat, and that's the surprising thing. If the United States had played Belgium close and lost this thing on a last-second goal or, penalty kicks or something like that, I think at least you would have understood. I didn't think that you would get that type of effort, execution, effort, whatever you want, game planning. I'm not a soccer expert, but I know a dud when I see one. And, Jimmy, it was just awful.
Well, let me ask first, Max. First of all, the NBA. I don't look. That's an extreme league, okay, as far as regular season to postseason. So, Max, you tell me I can't see that. Is pool play that much? Pool play in the World Cup that much different than the knockout? We did see Argentina win the whole thing, and they lost to Saudi Arabia the first win. Okay, maybe they ramp it up, but experience. Charlie's comparison to the NBA, where veterans are more. They're more effective because they know how the game.
I don't think it's the worst comparison. No, I think it's fair to say that Belgium was more willing in that moment. The U.S. looked so composed, they looked so energetic, and they looked better than they had in the whole lead up of this tournament. For all 4 games, I guess you could take out the Turkey match, but that was the B team, so we'll take that match out.
So some of that element that that veteran team that's been here so many times was more mentally prepared.
They were more mentally there and composed.
The other thing we talk about, a lot of times fans, when your team loses, man, we were flat. We didn't show up today. It looked that way though, huh?
No doubt. And look, they were lucky to be down just 1 goal at the half. That first half performance is abysmal. It's very misleading when you look at Belgium won the second half 2-0 and they won the first half 2-1. The U.S. was much better in the second half, but it was too late at that point. You had an awful goalkeeping error that really put this game away. I mean, they were kind of in the game. They had some momentum at the start of the second half where they were playing with the more intensity. This was a team that ran more than any other team in the World Cup in the group stage. They are runners. They are aggressive. They press you. That's how they do things. And I don't think there was anything Pochettino could do. He looked a little stunned after the match where it was basically like, I don't know what happened. We just kind of quit running. We just sat back in our shell and did what our weakest point is sitting back and letting teams come at us.
Yeah, Charlie, you kind of made a notion too, and I agree. It felt like we were still in the game, and it couldn't have looked any worse.
Right.
Kind of deal. So even from our novice perspective, the other thing is that they the one thing I've watched about 90% of these games, okay, or 90%. I mean, some all love them, some have, some, but most of them all of the whole game. And one thing that we talk about the sport, it doesn't have a whole lot of scoring, but when they score, man, that's some pieces of art, man. I mean, there's some skill. There's some, whether it's the ball and Holland's so damn big and he boxes people out with a strong header. I mean, putting it fast, these kicks. How about the Cape Verde when Messi got the feed and he kind of shoveled to his feet, did a little dance and popped it in. I mean, perfect. Just that goal to start the game, 10 minutes in. What the hell are we doing? Clear the damn ball.
No, the first
one guy, 2 guys. 3 guys all looking at each other. Other guy said, "Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay." I mean, what?
The first 2 goals were dreadful defense. Dreadful.
What? So then you get a reset because you get the free kick, get lucky, skims off the guy's hit. You got to hit it. It happens. You put up pressure, hit power through him. You got to reset. And a minute later, another defensive breakdown. On what we said yesterday, the biggest game in the history of the U.S. men's national team at home with all this momentum, and you got a little energy and you got your star back? Like, what? We use this term, laying an egg. This is the poster child yesterday.
Yeah,
and then they want to come when it's 3-1, and then they want to come try and make a little run. But man, the box score still tells you. The final score, a lot of times we say, wasn't indicative. Oh, this was a 4-1 soccer match yesterday.
Yeah, it could have been 4-1 at the half. Now, again, I want to give them a little credit because they came out in the second half and they played more like what they've done this year, this tournament. Until the third goal came in the 57th minute, it felt like the U.S. could perhaps knot it up, which would have been totally against the run of play. It would have been totally unfair for them to be tied at 2-2.
First half, second half included. What was a more lopsided game that we've seen in the knockout round? You had 16, and you got 6 of them now.
Morocco
3-0 was 0-0 at half.
It was closer than
0-0
I
at
would
half.
agree.
Oh, I mean, this was the worst game. This was the most lopsided. This was the easiest goals. I mean, don't tell me them goals. Max, you said, can we compete? So, and what do we talk about all the time? This guy's got this size. And Charlie, I do think they're more athletic. I do that. They had one picture, and this may be a little bit misleading, but the Belgian player came up to the shoulders of the American player. He was bigger, stronger, faster, and they're just going through us. I mean, it's listen, we've had this conversation for umpteen years, 30, 40, whatever it's been. Why are they doing this? They're getting better. And they finally had exceeded expectations early. And Max, your quote, That's the best half of soccer. The U.S. men's national team is playing, and this Paraguay team just gave Argentina all they could handle. They just gave comparative scores can get you in trouble, but still. Because what did Paraguay do, at least? They mucked it up, and they tried to get under the skin, and they tried to compete. And this team, on the biggest stage ever, doesn't compete?
They completely changed their identity. I mean, it was crazy to see the first 5 minutes.
What's the list of things? You don't require any talent, effort?
That's one of them.
Man, this was a weak effort. And now they gained some ground. They gained some momentum. There's a lot of excitement. We've had a lot of fun. It's just a matter of how much. But how much did last night give back?
Well, I think that's the question. And I don't want it to.
And it's some.
I don't want it to completely stain the entire tournament because while I've heard it already from more casual fans or maybe don't even follow soccer, who say, what's the big deal? They lost in the round of 16 again, like they always do. The path was a little bit different. I mean, they say no pictures on the scorecard, but the path was a lot different. They were favored in this match. Like, that's, you could say the market, they were getting a lot of bets on the U.S., whatever. But, I was completely wrong on the match, obviously. But they got a decent enough draw to where you felt like they could make the quarterfinals and that the way that they had played could certainly get them on the path there.
The path is absolutely the whole part of this because they did show some potential and did show some ability and talent early. And then they showed that there's also a mental toughness to play, and they ain't close. So the path, yes, indeed, there's some legitimate, tangible evidence to be excited, and some comparative scores that you can look at which way this thing is broken. And, man, that was even more impressive what they did to Paraguay and Turkey. But, man, to not compete and be the worst showing. I watched the Ghana game, I don't know how many years ago in 16, around to 16. They're way more competitive. Way more. 1-0 Ghana, then 1-1. I mean, they were in the game. You get a total reset after completely coming out flat. And a minute later, they're not scoring like that in this tournament. These soft goals don't exist.
That does happen a little bit in soccer where you score a goal and you immediately give up one. It just kind of.
Okay, show me another game where they tied it up and then they gave up the lead a minute later. Show me one game.
Give me thought on that. Okay. Spain and Austria might have been a more dominant.
Spain-Austria was not 1-1 ever. It was 3-0 final.
I'm saying that might be the more dominant you asked earlier about. Is there been a more dominant win in the knockout stages? Did they have a lead 10 minutes in? No.
Did they lead? They led for 90 minutes of the 100 minutes, roughly?
You tied it for.
Tell me another game that did that.
You tied it for 2 minutes.
This was awful, dude. And
there's no arguing that.
On the biggest stage in the history of your sport.
Was this?
We confirmed that yesterday. We agreed. We said, is this the biggest game in the history?
I think you could say the quarterfinal, just because it was further in 0-2, but it wasn't at home, so you could debate that.
You said
debatable.
Yesterday different.
No, I said debatable. I said arguable.
Okay.
I said arguable. Yes.
I agreed with you.
Okay.
He hit
home soil. You got some momentum.
The home soil changed it, but one of them's a quarterfinal
Your ratings
match,
are coming.
Round of
There
16.
more people to the table.
No, it's arguable for sure that it was the biggest match. And look, you
could have said that yesterday. Let's not go back.
I said arguable. I said arguable. You could debate. Is this entirely about the stage? Was part of it the distractions where they were America's
if you blaming
team,
anything on a damn president, all that, you're mentally weak and you get the hell out the damn system anyway. No, I don't want to hear about that.
Was part of it that they played in March and lost to Belgium 5-2, and all of a sudden a team that was so free-flowing and so press forward.
Charlie, 1980, the U.S. lost to the Soviets in Madison Square Garden. How bad?
7 or 8 goals.
Yeah.
About a week before the Olympics.
Yeah, about a week before.
Yeah.
How'd they do? Did they compete?
Jimmy, I'm just looking for reasons because this was – look, mentally, obviously they're not there. Obviously. And there's been questions about Christian Pulisic, who the best availability is availability, and he's almost never available in these big moments. But also, when he was on the pitch, he was really bad. He was dreadful.
11 turnovers?
Serginho Dest, who has played at Barcelona. He's played at the highest level who laid an egg in this match and got subbed off at the half. I mean, there were key players that the best players make big-time plays in big-time moments, and they did quite the opposite. They completely folded. I think Balogun was fine. He showed some threats, and then you have Tillman who scored the free kick goal. He was fine in this match. But otherwise, it's hard to really look for any strengths.
Now, one thing we went back to, which opened the door early, they give up they do give up easier goals than most.
No doubt, but again, part of this was on them. It was on their mindset. If they went forward, they're obviously going to be less threatened at the back. They did not show a willingness
the biggest
move
game,
forward.
The biggest game of these guys.
They seem more content sitting back with the ball, which is not their strength.
How much is that coaching?
To me, it's not Pochettino. He tried. He was in shock.
Well, obviously.
I give Pochettino a pass on this, and maybe that's unfair, but he can't. The game plan was not this. This is not the game plan. They did not try to do this. This was
brutal, man.
This was a team that played scared, a team that played scared to lose, and it was completely different than everything we saw.
Zero reason for that, man. I'm sorry. And if you're looking for excuses, if you're looking for a distraction, if you're looking because you got beat 6 months ago, with all that, they know. The only thing I say, they got patted on the damn back so many times.
And I stand by. They were the better team up until that match last night. They performed better at this stage than Belgium had to this point. But Belgium, they were comfortable. They rose to the occasion. And even with big names like Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku not starting lineup,
I know.
De Bruyne was out completely. Lukaku, they're older players.
Yeah.
Thibaut Courtois is the only little recognizable name on this roster, and you had some random guys just running up and down the floor. And Egypt is shocked Argentina early.
Yep.
So we'll see how that one goes.
Scoring Messi. Let's go.
But it was so disappointing. I hope it doesn't take everything away from this World Cup run. The problem is, this is the crescendo, right? This was the young generation. It's going to build up into a home World Cup. And now, on the back end of that, they don't host in 2030. It'll be in Spain and Morocco and whatnot, Portugal. And all of a sudden, the golden age, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, they'll be kind of past their prime at that point. Prime of soccer is about 28, 29. They'll be turning 30, 31. And so you better hope that this run at least built some goodwill with the younger generation, that they'll want to play this sport more, and that hopefully U.S. Soccer can fix what is a broken, youth system where it's all about money and not about talent and
guess what?
Development.
We've been talking about this crap for a long time, and what's got to be fixed, what's the money. Man, it's same old, same old. If that's the athletes who are going to show up there, that mentally weak, that's not the best athletes in this country. Sorry.
It's a missed opportunity at the very least, and it's a buzzkill. It is a buzzkill. I think the route here was fun, and I don't think we can totally take that away from this team. But at the end
there's going to be different degrees. But it's a chunk.
90 minutes of
it's a chunk.
Just complete disappointment last night.
Don't forget our front lunch menu over here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. Offers a whole different menu than our dinner menu. Now, Scotty Boy gave the staff off for the 4th of July. Rarely, it's a Saturday. It's rare that we closed here on a Saturday because when everybody talks about steaks, Doe's, they think about those hand-cut steaks and all those great sides and great service and great specialty cocktails and wine in a casual atmosphere. But Doe's lunch menu, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sandwiches like the club, the steak burger, the chicken sandwich, hot chicken sandwich, po' boys, like the oyster, catfish, shrimp, broiled shrimp, the debris po' boy, meatball po' boy, black and blue po' boy. We've got different salads as well in our plate lunches with their generous portions. And then there's these Doe's Eat Place portions, spaghetti and meatball, hamburger steak with the mashed potatoes or the hand-cut fries, the fried catfish platter of the country fried steak, as big as an egg that the U.S. men's national team laid last night. That's right, with the sirloin battered and fried to perfection, garlic mashed potatoes, brown or white gravy to your selection. It's Doe's Eat Place, the lunch menu, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
To be your law firm for a lifetime.
with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. It's brought to you by Supreme Rice. Celebrating 90 years in business here in 2026, supporting our Louisiana farmers. Go to SupremeRice.com.
Messi missed a free throw.
He got a penalty kick and got denied. Egypt with a 1-0 lead.
Didn't do the stutter. You know that so many of them have been doing. He just went straight at it, cooked it.
That's
the guy,
his way about it. Remember, he missed a pin earlier in the tournament. Would have had back-to-back hat tricks.
He was way too close to the center on that kick.
Yeah, it's not a good. It's not a good take, and it's too high. Normally, if you want it to be either low to the ground or up in the corner, and that's a very savable area for the goalkeeper. But he guessed the right way, and
keeper almost blocked it with his elbows.
Argentina goes from they were minus 1,000 to advance early. They're minus 255, so still favored, down a goal to nil at 20.
So what do we do,
minute.
Charlie? We just crap can the World Cup. Now you had the local teams out.
No, I'm going to still watch because I got a lot of time invested in this tournament. I want to see how it turns out.
I was fired up when he hit the free kick, man, and I was like, all right, reset.
Yeah, and I sort of figured, okay, after Spain had won earlier, if they beat Belgium, they're more than likely going to lose to Spain in the next match. But it would have been a longer extension.
How many shots on target for each team? They scored more goals. We had 2, I think, and one was a free kick. And then the one at the
7
end.
7-2
shots
on goal.
At the end.
Expected goals. One of the things you look at, it was 2 to 0.6. 2 seems a little light for Belgium. They had some quite simple chances that they put away. Obviously, like penalties are very high on expected goals. They're like 0.75 or something like that. But like I said, it was a blowout. I want to be clear on that. It was a complete and utter blowout. But I will say, from the halftime whistle until that just awful goalkeeping error, I felt like the U.S. could get back in it and tie it. I really did. They came back and they looked much more like themselves until that third goal, and then it was just.
I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here because they've made some progress, but you can't see it on paper because this round of 16 is where they've gotten 4 of the last 5, and the other one
now they won a knockout match. That's the difference because the
only reason
they Bosnia,
because they have more teams.
There's more teams. Yeah. So essentially,
but I will just say, like, Germany's out already. Brazil went out in the state, but like Germany and the Netherlands lost in the round of 32. So it is possible to lose in the first knockout.
It reminds me a little bit of the Pelicans because you've always had an excuse built in. With the Pelicans, it's been, well, what if everybody was healthy? What if we changed coaches? What if we, got a different mindset? What if we made this trade? Everything's falling apart. With the United States, my limited knowledge of this, but when the World Cup comes around, we pay attention. It's been this litany of there's not enough young athletes in the program to develop into great soccer players if they're going to play for other sports. Well, from what I read, they have put much more money into the developmental stages of soccer. That they did not have an elite coach. Okay, they paid this guy $6 million, I think.
It was one donor.
I might favor him too, but I like him too, man.
One donor. He won't be back. He's going to move on.
It is still. I've maintained with other sports. It's the responsibility of coach to get your team to respect your opponent. The mental part of it, man. I don't know if it was just
they may have respected him too much. To be honest,
to cause
from their previous,
So,
and there's only so much the coach can do. I'm sure he didn't coach them to go out and play that way. I remember when Chuck Daly left the Pistons, he went and coached the Nets. The Nets were like, "Hey, we got Chuck Daly. We're going to win a championship." Well, he couldn't play. They finished third, okay, because it was the Nets, and they didn't have Isaiah Thomas and all those other guys. With this, he brought the coach in. He's got the best players available to him in a while. And you have it on home soil, which is not going to happen again anytime soon. If you can't win with all of those things in place, you really got to go, man, we're
always going to have a limit because the other countries just don't have this competition for the same competition for the best athletes.
And it's the number one sport in those places.
Yes.
It's never going to be the number one sport here. Never.
No, but
it can be higher, but it's never going to be number one.
Our athleticism has increased. This team is more athletic than the teams I've seen.
One of the
past.
most athletic teams.
Would you agree, Max?
Yeah, no, it's one of the most athletic teams
Okay.
in this tournament still, even after last night.
Yeah.
It's just,
but I mean,
they lack some technical skill.
If you can't get, and the ride up is always they exceeded expectations. They look better. They not only won, and it's what got us so excited was in the fashion that they won. It was dominating, it was aggressive, and what's really given sucks so bad is giving so much back because the style that they lost.
Right.
It was embarrassing, man.
And again,
you should be. This might be it for Pulisic. Kind of like this is how we remember it. Man, that is weak, man.
I do think
have a little damn pride.
It's a real stain on Pulisic because again, he's kind of removed himself from a few of these matches. That wasn't a foul, and look, he might have really been injured. I'm not here to question his whether his toughness or anything, but he's often unavailable. And
Anthony
he skipped
Davis.
the Gold Cup last. Yeah, it's kind of like Anthony Davis. Yeah, and he's just he is the poster boy for this team, and I think it's a little bit unfair because let's face it. He had a good half against Turkey when he came in and substituted in. He was good in the early stages of the Paraguay match, but ultimately he doesn't have these big moments. And Flo Balogun does. Flo Balogun showed up.
Charlie pregame on
Tillman
Fox, and I'm sure you saw some of it. Was Latan and Lawless, and Lawless is waxing poetic about how proud he is and this and that, and then they get to the French guy. What's the French guy, the black guy?
Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
A legend.
Yeah, and he says, hey, I've seen the U.S., when they put their resources and put their mind to it, dominate every sport they want to. And, man, this is it was almost like a coronation. I mean, it was nobody expected this. If they were going to go down, I mean, yeah, they could lose, but
go down swinging.
But just they were, Charlie. All the things my point of saying is the things you're talking about that we got to get this, got to do this, got to put money. They've done it.
That's
if
what
you
I'm
watched
saying.
that pregame last night, they had done it, and that's why they're here to this point.
If you've done all that and you can't get past 16, how many players, ballpark Max, on this team are going to play 4 years from now? If you had to guess.
Of the starting 11?
Of anybody that's on that team.
Of the starting 11, I'm going to say 6.
Okay, and the general consensus is that the coach is not coming back because he's going to be lured by European money.
That's just not how.
Right.
Coaches don't go 2 terms because
he's
unless
going to go back to
in retirement,
he's going to go back to Europe and get a big
you want to
money
be on
job.
a club soccer,
which is fine. So what do you have to build on? Okay, and then the next matches again are not in the United States. So what do you have to build on?
What they paid the coach, they can find it. They can get another coach.
Okay.
It might not be the same one, but they'll be able to
another
quality coach.
Is there a generation of talent coming? Is there a soccer version of LeBron James
Charlie,
playing in the United States somewhere
up some popularity.
at 15?
Just the thing that's different is you had more eyeballs, but you had more eyeballs on this egg at the end.
I'm trying to ask what you can build on. Is there something to build on here?
Yeah,
to go past this.
Yes, this group is more athletic, so you're getting more athletic kids interested in playing soccer. There is, it is still growing in participation, and but you're always going to have this competition in this country that you don't in all of these competing, and so there's going to be a limitation. Say what you may compare it to maybe a football program in the Big 12. You're just not going to have, you're going to have disadvantages competing against SEC and Big 10 programs, but they also have it's a shame they did because they got to keep going. And how many kids get discouraged by seeing this last match?
I think we're overblowing
the athletic guys.
We're going to overblow the junior stuff a little bit too much. I think 4 years from now, I just not. We build up to this moment, and I just think that there's going to be a dip in terms of expectations. We're no longer looking at, they're go up and at it, forever and ever. They're just going to keep going up. I think next year they're going to kind of stick around to this point. They're not going to be at home, obviously. I think the round of 16 is probably about where they'll finish again, next time around. And this is where I predict them to finish. It's just they played a lot better up until this point that I thought, maybe they could get to the quarterfinals. And they weren't going to ever win this tournament.
You were very confident yesterday.
I was very confident.
Very confident. I was confident yesterday.
I was
confident,
and I thought I just think Belgium was that good. I doubted Belgium, and Belgium, proved the doubters wrong clearly, myself included. But what I will say is it's very hard at this point to predict what the junior levels will look like in, say, 8 or 12 years. I'd like to think it's a big boost, but here's
the really elite athletes, and we're still not getting that. I'm sorry.
The part of this that's a little odd is how many of these players actually grew up playing soccer in the United States anyway. They didn't really – not all of these guys came up through here.
No.
Part of the thing about Europe is they are developing there. So it's not necessarily an apples-to-apples –
how many guys on the French team are born in Africa?
No, that dual nationals, that's the thing. It's hard to predict because I don't know where the dual nationals that are 10 years old right now, I don't know if they're going to play for the U.S.
Like
or they're going to play for
college tennis and college tennis, international recruiting budget.
And there's a lot looser eligibility requirements.
Look, I'll sum it up in 3 words. You want to be, if you're half empty, half full, and look, man, it made progress. You're half empty. Man, that was garbage last night. We're better than Bosnia.
All right.
You interpret it how you want. We're better than Bosnia.
Okay. First European team we've beaten in a while.
Again, we made it past Netherlands. We made it past Germany. We made it. Italy didn't make the World Cup. I mean, it could be worse, but, yeah, that was tough last night. That was really tough.
What's Bosnia's second name, their last name?
Herzegovina.
There you go. Okay.
We beat 2 countries in once. I think we actually got 2 wins.
Stupid videos. We have videos going at the Buc-ee's today. No. No ranch dressing.
Free refills.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title. Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Marion Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith. The whole staff at Legacy Title wants to congratulate the U.S. men's national team on a hell of a run. Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title 296-0060.
1-0 Egypt. 32 minutes in. Live at Doe's. Live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
Andy, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing fine. I hope everything's going well down there as well. And, we don't have to worry about the World Cup anymore.
Well, we're still going to watch
it.
We're still going
to. But for the U.S., that was it was a horrible performance last night.
All right. So, are you half empty or half? How much of what they earned, as far as legitimacy and growth and progress, what percentage did they give back last night? If not all,
not a heck of a lot. It was one game. I mean, Belgium's shown that they're a pretty good team, and look, let's face it, that soccer is not the sport in the U.S. that it is in South America and Europe. And so what that often means is that a lot of the players, and of course there are a lot of international players from the U.S., but remember that a lot of these teams in Argentina, Brazil, Portugal, Spain, England, etc., they are playing world-class competition really throughout the entire year. So I think they are used to the stiffer competition than a lot of the North American teams are. Canada, Mexico, U.S., etc. So I think overall they acquitted themselves nicely for getting as far as they did. It would have been nice that if they had to go out last night, it would have been a little bit more of a competitive game. But the thing that I noticed that the U.S. team, they lacked really much aggressiveness last night, and I think that came to hurt them.
Yeah, life. They were lifeless, no doubt about it. All right, let's turn the page. College football. You've been going through these college football preseason guides. It's Big 12 Media Days starting in Frisco, Texas today, and you always got to check in the different depth charts to see where the quarterbacks have gone, but they do have quite a few returning quarterbacks this year. Avery Johnson at Kansas State, Bear Backmeyer, the great freshman last year from BYU. Devin Dampier from Utah is back. Will Hammond, I know that he's an injury, and it's a different route because the kid was ruled at Sorsby eligible. Connor Wegman at Utah, Fafita at Arizona, and on.
Yeah, in fact, it's I'm still getting into the colleges right now because, again, I've been spending most of my time on the NFL because I start doing my season win total reports around the middle of July. There was one team in college football that was the most intriguing team to me, and it's a team that had a horrible season last year, but their record was not as bad as the performance was not as bad as their record would have indicated, and that's normally a team that I like to look at the next year. I'm talking about the Arkansas Razorbacks. I think they were 2-10 last year, and I think their 2 wins were like Arkansas State and Arkansas Pine Bluff. They were winless in the SEC, but they played so many very close games decided by 4 or 5 points or less. That's normally a team that I would love to be on this year, whether it be generally for exceeding season win totals or to perhaps do something even better than that. But they've got basically nobody returning. That makes it for a very and a new coach, although he's had success at his previous programs. But it's an intriguing team, and unfortunately, because I lived in Arkansas for about 5-6 years back in the late '80s, and so I've sort of liked them as far as a college team goes, because where I grew up and where I lived, college football was really non-existent in the New York City area, and then up in New England, it wasn't very big. Maybe Boston College was the team there. Upstate New York, where I did not live, I lived down by the New York area, Syracuse, of course. But Arkansas was the team, and was there through some good days there. But it's tough to find a reason to back them today. In fact, I was surprised that their win total was 4.5 when I took a look at basically an entirely new roster with a lot of transfers and a lot of guys who left the team. So, in the SEC, I think the team that you want to keep an eye on, because I don't know if the coach is under a lot of pressure, but you got to wonder about Alabama after 2 years. Now, they did have they did somewhat, I guess, questionable whether or not they deserved to be in the playoffs last year, but nonetheless, this is a team that is used to so much success, and when it starts to go down a little bit, the fans become a little bit impatient. LSU, your Tigers, I'm looking for a very interesting situation with Lane Kiffin. He's got a lot of talent, and I would expect your Tigers to be contenders this year. And then, of course, there's always the big dog, Georgia, that is another one. I think right now they are the team in the SEC that annually reloads rather than rebuilds.
Charlie, Arkansas, they fired Pittman with 4 or 5 games into the season last year, but elevate Petrino. Some people thought that he's going to, but he didn't maintain it. And Silverfield is not the first Memphis coach. That's a good. They're probably the one team that just missed getting into maybe the Big 12 or another conference, ACC or something. So that's a program that's produced coaches in the past, but. Man, they've been in the league now 35 years without a conference title.
A very good source of talent, that Memphis area.
Yeah, it always has been. They were. He was brought in to try to get as much as he could, not brought in but elevated, out of Talon Green. It was the one real star that they had. They were just so bad defensively. I mean, even LSU, who was struggling offensively, got enough points to beat them eventually in that terrible game in the middle of November last year. That's the part. Can you fix that in a hurry? On offense, sometimes you can plug in one guy, especially if it's a quarterback. They've got so many holes on defense. They were just awful down the stretch.
Andy, the biggest thing when you look at the SEC as far as the odds are concerned, Georgia. Their win total is 9.5. 9.5. Everybody's got at least 2 or 3 losses that they're looking at. LSU with their $52 million payroll is at 8.5. I mean, we go through Texas. Texas.
By the way, it's hard. It's hard. What's the vig on the over 9.5 in Georgia?
It is 180.
Yeah, that's a big price to lay.
Yes.
But the fundamentals suggest that is Georgia going to sink to 9-3 or worse? It's hard to see.
Which is the point is that do we have a super team in the SEC? And because you add that 9th conference game and you have to have one of your 3 non-conference games against a Power 4 opponent. I mean, it's going to be some cannibalism this year for the regular season. These are regular season games.
So the SEC has a lot of super teams when you compare to the rest of the country, but within the conference, the teams there's such great depth. I don't know if anyone has compiled the numbers, but what percentage of the players drafted in the NFL year after year of the year come from the SEC. I have to believe it's it might be like 22%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's because there's so many players out there. But I would imagine that if it's 22%, the next conference might be like 17 or 18%.
It's been the leader. It's been the leader, except with the exception of this past year. Yeah. Let's talk about first round
picks.
Yeah, first round
and total picks too.
No, I'm talking the entire draft. I'm talking about the entire draft. Yeah.
This was the first year that the SEC was not number one in a long time.
Yeah.
For both.
Yeah.
For both. So.
Well, and I think have a great day, guys. And I have to think, of course, the portal is part of it because the SEC is the kind of conference that will lose third and fourth teamers to lesser teams for which they would be starters immediately.
The depth, there's no doubt. Charlie, is that it? I mean, is the SEC, we're going to have another one of those great Georgia teams or great Alabama teams or great LSU teams, great Florida teams back in the day?
No. I don't think that there's a team that can go 15-0.
Iowa State can't be that?
That is going to be able to do this for 16 weeks. I don't. No, you said in the SEC.
Okay.
Yeah, those teams maybe.
Well, how can Indiana do it? You don't think of Georgia, LSU, or Texas?
Because I think that Georgia, LSU, and Texas have much tougher schedules from top to bottom than Indiana does. Really, than anybody in the Big Ten does. I mean, I'm not just talking about the top 3 or 4 games. You take the top 3 or 4 games on LSU's schedule, the top 3 or 4 that everybody's looking at: Alabama, Texas, Clemson, and Ole Miss. And there's 2 or 3 games past that not only could they lose, they might be underdogs in. Okay, I mean you're 6 deep into this schedule for a team like LSU.
Andy, any MLB or any other future bets that you're looking at right now before we let
go? I'm going to go back to the NFL. It's a team that I've talked about really all off season. That's the Dallas Cowboys, and I've played them over their season win total 9.5, which I think this is at least an 11-6 team or better. Based upon what they did in the offseason, which is exactly why I played them when I did and got those nice odds, because I expected them to emphasize defense, and that's pretty much what they did. No issues with the offense. I had the regular total is 9.5, and I got it at plus 105. I also played over the 10.5 at plus 190, so I'm looking for the Cowboys to have a good team. I actually have them edging past Philadelphia to win the NFC East this year.
Andy Iskoe. Follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Catch you next week, guys. Take care.
All right. Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive, 8445 Segan Lane. Get top-notch auto repair services today at K&M Auto. From AC repair to transmission services, our goal is to offer expert auto repairs at affordable prices. That engine light comes on. I mean, we're not trained trained mechanics. We don't know. Could bring it in. We'll figure out what's going on with it. Conveniently located on Segan Lane, just off of Perkins, between Perkins and I-10. We're open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Tell my buddy Jason Payne you heard about it right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Doe's live at lunch. Well, the LSU men's basketball roster has been sort of a moving target really for the better part of the last 2.5 months. We know some, we don't know all, but we got some confirmation today on a big addition. Amir Khan's coming back. You know who Amir Khan is? He was Aura. He's a big student manager when Wade was at. He's coming to LSU, baby.
Oh, he is?
He's coming to LSU.
Did he finish? Did he graduate at McNeese?
He went to. He was at NC State. I thought he went back to McNeese.
No,
he was at NC State for a year, and then he went back to McNeese, and he's got 1 year left, and he's going to be at LSU. This year.
Okay.
If you don't remember him, he was the charismatic, get out in front, pump up, hype guy, and Will
almost a little mascot,
right? And picked up all kind of social media followers, but also the point that I always amazed me about him is he attracted some NIL money. It's some NIL money that it wasn't just a little bit of money. It was like $100,000 worth of.
Well, he did get free food for Buffalo Wild Wings too, because
Buffalo Wild Wings was probably the most.
He used to treat the players to food, to wings. So
we remember when if you handed a player a ham sandwich, that was a violation, right? And this guy, I don't know, it made national news today because, well, it's a slow time of year, but he was interesting to watch anyway.
Oh, he's fun.
Yeah,
he's fun. Well, I mean, he doesn't fit the stereotypical profile of a guy with a boombox, blaring out, rap music. So, I mean,
anything that they can do to create a little bit more, I'm not saying it's crucial or anything, but every little bit helps. You said it a million times. It's hard to win here. Give me a little somebody that's invested.
Keep in mind that I think that was the only underdog that won in the Open in 2 days in the tournament was Clemson. So then they had
McNeese,
I'm sorry, Clemson. No, but McNeese. So beat Clemson. So then anyway, they, it's fun. It's fun.
Low help.
Let's have it's going to be fun.
Bring a little bit more excitement to us. Anyway, he's coming back for one more year with Will Wade at LSU. First class, second class, no class. When we return, live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch, first class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And return here at Doe's Eat Place, live at lunch. All right, first class. It's not often, but a team can make an impression without winning anything. When I mean anything, I mean for an entire tournament sometimes. But Cape Verde really kind of captured a little bit of, I don't say lightning in a bottle or whatever it was, but this tiny nation who would not have made it in under the previous format of the World Cup got in and almost shook up the world. Cape Verde did not win a match in the World Cup. They were 0-3, or I'm actually doing that wrong, Max. So they did three draws in the pool play. If I'm remembering this correctly, they were tied with Spain in the first one. They tied Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, and then when they got them into the knockout round, where they gave Argentina all they wanted. In fact, that looked like it was headed for penalty kicks before a tremendous strike for Argentina got them home.
Disallowed a goal too, right? At the end.
That's right.
Fair day.
That's right.
Yeah,
they did on the on that call by the. Our friend Troy Macker from Bet Rivers is with us every week. Posted after the Argentina match, he said, when we finish this World Cup, we'll remember who wins it. This will also be the one with Cape Verde. It kind of like the year that UConn won the national championship, beating Butler. I remember that a lot more about Butler's run than I did about that was an awful championship game. But I remember the Butler runs. Okay, this is going to be about. This World Cup will be a little bit about Cape Verde and what they were able to do. So, and I'm going to ask you guys: would you rather have had a World Cup run that the United States had, where you won two matches, you won them decisively, the third one didn't matter, you beat somebody in the first round that you were supposed to beat, but then you laid an egg, or that you took one of the best teams in the world, one of the 2 or 3 favorites in this thing, and shook the hell out of them, and you were 6 minutes away, I think it was, from penalty kicks to go.
Yeah, there's no loss for Cape Verde. So I guess in that sense you'd rather that. Now the
Until
U.S. had all the hype of being at home, and that added to the elements of that.
They didn't win, but they didn't lose. But this is an island of like 15 people. I'm exaggerating, of course, but it's a tiny nation.
Baton Rouge.
They'll get a hero's welcome when they come back.
Even though they never won a match.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think back on this, what does that run mean? What does that put it into context for us?
I think it'll mean something only because, and Jimmy's brought this up, but the round of 32, we talked about this yesterday. The round of 32, we expanded the tournament. All the favorites have pretty much won, but a team like Cape Verde showed that the expansion may work. That there's still going to be competitive matches even when a third-place type team like Cape Verde, lower level, can make it through the knockout rounds and hold their own against one of the dominant countries in the sport. So I think that's how we'll look back on the first go of the expanded tournament. We'll look at a Cape Verde, for example, and say, hey, maybe this expansion might work long term.
The game itself, David and Goliath, and so close, was Georgetown Princeton to me. But since you brought that up, you're talking about how what's deeper into the tournament. And, this is Les Miles' favorite team, too, because they're undefeated in regulation. So, remember 2007?
Yeah,
when he preached that.
It worked. It's still amazing.
Well, there were some other things that,
had to happen.
Work. I don't think it was strictly as politicking that got it done. But anyway, deeper into you mentioned UConn. I remember another UConn run that was against – it was the first year that Gonzaga made a run and made it all the way to the regional final. And UConn that's the year UConn upset Duke in the final with Voskuhl and those guys.
Like 98 maybe?
Yeah, but Gonzaga made it all the way to the regional final and gave them a heck of a game. It was very competitive. And then another one that you made me remember better in 2008, but that's when all 4 number 1 seeds made it. But the regional final from the ultimate national champion, Kansas, okay, in the regional final, they beat Davidson and Steph Curry, who would not go away, and gave them. I mean, it was a thrilling regional final, and I mean, little Davidson, never won a game in the thing, and of course Curry was, but no, it was that's sort of the comparisons I made. No, it was thrilling, man. We were about a pool barbecue. We were glued to the TV. And then we were casual at best, soccer fans. It was great.
Second class, good with a chance to be great. If you watched what LSU has done in the baseball portal, it's pretty obvious to me looking at this whole thing, and they're close to through. They may not be completely through, but they're close to through with this as the draft's approaching. Jay Johnson has decided that his resources in this transfer portal were going towards offense. Most recently, Angel Leah, top freshman player, one of the top freshman players in the Big Ten this season. He hit 306. You go back and Jason Walks out of Tulane, who hit 335, 14 doubles on the season. You got Cade Curlin, who's a multi-year starter at Florida, and their full-time second baseman. And Dawson Park from Texas State, who had 13 home runs and had an OPS at 962. And then the headliner is Bino Waters from Notre Dame, who had 362, had, I believe it was 14 home runs on that team, and was a first-team All-ACC guy at Notre Dame. They did not spend nearly as much money on pitching in the portal. Landon Hood's the headliner. He's the West Coast Conference Freshman of the Year at Gonzaga. He had an ERA at 2.48. A lot of strikeouts, but again, that was in the West Coast Conference. The other pitchers that they've signed have fairly pedestrian stats. None of them were bad, but none of them have the offense, the numbers that the offensive guys has. Diego Vesquez out of Southern Cal, ERA of 4.26. Caden Smith, who they just added from South Florida, ERA of 4.24. Again, very pedestrian numbers. What it tells me is that Jay Johnson knew he had to overhaul the offense, even though he's got a few bats coming back. He's got Aaron Beatty coming back. He's got Cerner coming back. He's got Braun coming back. He's got Milam coming back. But he needed some heavy sticks. He went out and got them. They didn't choose to put, I don't know if it happened that way, it was by design or whatever, they didn't put nearly as much into the pitching staff. What that tells me is he believes he's got enough there, but everybody's got to take a big move up. Kason Evans has got to make a big move up if he's going to continue to be a starting pitcher. William Schmidt was better this year than his first year, but he's got to be much better than that if he wants to headline a top-flight SEC rotation. He's counting on Cooper Moore coming back from an injury. It was very solid for him, the transfer from Kansas before that. Counting on a guy like Cooper Williams to make a bounce back. ERA under 2 as a freshman was just a mess last year. Counting on guys like Danny Lockenmeyer, who did some nice things for him last year. He's going to have to take on a bigger role. Looking for guys that maybe didn't pitch as much last year but were on the team, like Reagan Ricken, who's having a very good year in summer ball. If he would have felt that he had to go out and completely overhaul the pitching staff, he would have spent the money. He had the money. He went out and he spent it on offense. It's interesting because most people thought at the end of the season that the pitching staff was the much bigger problem than anything there. And looking at this back at this season, I would have to agree. The pitching staff for most of the season was not up to par. They went and spent their money, most of it, on offense. Good with a chance to be great. I trust Jay Johnson to put together a roster. I suspect that they will be ranked in the preseason pretty high, and they will be expected to make a deep run in the postseason. But for the most part, it's going to have to be with the guys that were here getting better, because the haul on the mound does not match the haul at the plate for LSU baseball. Anyway, that's my thoughts about what. But the offensive haul, though, is pretty impressive. I mean, this number one class, we'll see. But all of these guys have hit, and they've hit at a very high level. And some of them have hit in power conferences.
I was looking at highlights of Angelia and Jimmy. The first highlight that I saw was a homer in the Big Ten tournament. So he can hit out of Charles Schwab Field.
Wait, for who?
He was at Oregon. LSU picked him up last week.
Yeah, Oregon had some guys that got off the bus that looked, they
were physically
they
mature
big,
team,
yeah. Some
very
bigger,
much so.
Bigger guys, yeah.
Yeah, he played 59 games at Oregon last year. No class. I'm sorry to have to go back in time to dredge up a bad memory, but you cannot change the rules after the game has started, okay? Take you back to 1972, Munich, Germany, finals. Gold medal game, Soviet Union, United States. United States, after a Doug Collins free throw, has a 1-point lead. The Russians have got 3 seconds to go the length of the floor and try to win the game. So they inbound the ball, and the ball goes out of bounds, and the clock looks like it's expired, except a gentleman named Renato Williams Jones, Secretary General of FIBA at the time, who had absolutely no authority to do so, came out of the stands and said, put 3 seconds back on the clock. And they did. And Tom McMillan, who was guarding the inbounder at 6'10", is right there on the baseline. And they tell him, you got to move back, which was also against the rules. They inbounded again. Ball goes off, goes to the scorer's table. United States wins, right? Nope. Put a second back on the clock. They let the Russians do this 3 times until they finally won. The silver medals for that United States team are still in a vault in Munich because they refused to accept them. It's over 50 years ago, coming up on 55 years ago. They changed the rules. This guy Jones came out of the stands and made up a ruling, and they listened to him. Henry Iba almost had a stroke on the sideline of the United States coach. But that stood, okay? And 54 years later, the Russians got their gold medal and the United States did. This is what happens when you change rules on the fly. And I'm sorry, but FIFA changed rules on the fly. It ended up not mattering, okay? The United States got their player back. They lost anyway. He was not much of a factor in this game.
He could have been.
But he wasn't.
He created some runs. It didn't matter.
If
he
had been,
yeah.
I think that story, if he had scored the game-winning goal, I think that this story would have taken over this tournament, okay, because of the circumstances. I don't blame the president for asking, okay? Anybody can ask. I blame FIFA for actually granting this, okay? You got a horse crap rule, but it's a rule, and there's no appeals process in place for it. That was the procedure. You can't change that in the middle. I don't care if it did benefit the United States, because Jimmy uses this all the time. If you're going to complain about something, complain about it when it doesn't, or when it goes against you, or when it affects you, or a rule, or an official's team. Don't wait until it crushes your team, because then it just looks like sour grapes. So that's why I want to say this. When it benefited the United States, this was a horse crap ruling to put a guy back in the thing. As bad as the call was with the red card, and I don't disagree with that. It was a terrible call. In my knowledge of soccer,
thing, Charlie,
but you can't change it
in Munich.
Afterwards.
What was the blown call originally that the FIBA official came down from the stands and put 3 seconds on the clock?
Well, there were a bunch of things. First of all, they blew the horn in between Collins' free throws, because back then you had to signal to the scorer's table with a little electronic device where a light lit up at the scorer's table to put in a sub, okay? So they thought that they were getting a timeout, which they weren't. The horn went off, so he says, put the time back on the clock. Then they run the play. It goes out of bounds. They said, no, run it again, because, well, one of the things was McMillan. They wanted him to back up, which they had no reason to do. You were allowed to guard on the baseline like that, and McMillan was 6'10". So I tell you, there have been documentaries and books written on this subject. So I don't know that I can tell you any one. He overruled multiple scenarios at the time.
Yeah, and I'm saying this was
it wasn't exactly a call on the floor. That's why I'm struggling with your question a little bit.
Well, yeah, because
what's the
comparison?
It was in a dead
You're
ball.
making a comparison. So the guy should have never got a red card in the first place. So they tried to, after the fact, go against the rules and try and erase the blown call. Should not have gotten a red card. Okay, but I'm saying, what was the big blown call? And I don't recall. I think it was just extending the game and giving the Russians a chance
twice.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's what I see different. The similarity is both international competition that involve politics, FIFA,
And the head of FIFA should have no jurisdiction to change a policy once the World Cup has started. That's my opinion.
And
this guy had no authority to change that rule on the basketball court. Not then.
Yeah, they might rewrite the rules going forward, but yeah, the two wrongs don't make it right.
And
here.
if they do, okay, that's fine. If they say, you know what, this was a screw up, we're going to make sure this never happens again. We're going to put an appeals process in place for a red card. I'm fine with that, okay? But you cannot change this in the middle.
And the Belgium coach gave Flo Balogun a lot of credit. Flo Balogun came up to the coach after, because they were obviously upset about the situation.
Yeah.
Came up and he said, look, it's not you. We don't blame you on
He's
this.
right. It's not his fault.
And Flo Balogun handled this tremendously. He had originally accepted that he was suspended. He handled it perfectly. He said, I disagree with the call, but, I've moved on already. And so, Balogun, one of the few stars who gained a lot from this tournament for the U.S. I know we'll look back on some of the other star players and think with difficulty, but he arrived in this tournament, and he treated that situation as well as he could have, considering the circumstances.
First class, second class, no class, brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. We're getting closer to football season. You're tailgating. Man, look, if you're going to make your jambalayas, you're going to make your etouffees, you're going to make anything with rice, your red beans, your white beans, make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers as part of the Climate Smart program, making sure methane emissions are down. Water conservation is up. And all of our rice is grown, milled, and processed right there in South Louisiana. Has been, Jimmy, for about 90 years now, 90-year anniversary.
Rice is one of our resources, man. Yes, indeed. And Supreme Rice has been doing it as long as anybody, man. Multi-generational outfit and, man, everything grown, milled right here. And look, our reach, our buddy usually sends us one for the Costco in San Diego, so they're all over the place. And I love that pour-ball rice, man. Restaurant-quality rice, man. A long, firm rice. It's just really long grain, firm rice. It's just unbelievable quality. So love the Supreme Rice. Who was I see cooking on Supreme Rice on TV recently? Oh, somebody was using that Supreme Rice on TV recently, doing a cooking show as well. We talked about those tournaments, then that kind of comparing that Cape Verde Argentina match to 99 regional final. Gonzaga, that was their first year they won an NCAA tournament. So they were fresh on the scene that year. They went all the way to the regional final, beat Florida in the Sweet 16 by 1 point. The Billy Donovan's group, they lost 67-62 to UConn. So it was a very competitive game. And at Davidson-Kansas game, when Kansas ultimately won it all 4 number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four. Kansas was underdog in both games against North Carolina in Memphis State at the time. Kansas beat Davidson 59-57.
So you're telling me if Davidson had pulled the upset that day, they'd have been a live dog in the Final Four?
I guess.
Curry was pretty good.
I guess.
Curry was pretty good.
Guess. But, totally different things. That's it for Davidson. Okay, I think did they win one game maybe about 6-8 years later? I think they have. But one individual player went on to stardom, to greatness. Maybe the best, the greatest shooter I've seen in the NBA. In a program in Gonzaga, springboarded, where they're not considered a mid-major. They're basically a blue blood. But that was the first year they won the game in a tournament.
I've heard Davidson compared to Norway in this tournament a little bit.
Davidson and Norway with Holland.
Holland kind of taking their team.
You tell me he's not that good, man.
One dominant
You tell me he's not that good. All he does is score.
I didn't say that.
All he does is score.
He's a striker. He's had a great tournament. He's a top 5 player in the world.
Norway's. He's carried his loaded team. He set a record one year. We scored the most goals, whatever. Set a record. Now he's carrying his national team to. They've never been here before.
Wasn't afraid of the moment.
Were they ever been here before?
No.
That's pretty good.
They're now in the 56th minute. Egypt leads Argentina 1-0.
I can't believe Messi missed a free throw.
Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Even if you're not a soccer fan and don't care much about the sport, I'm sure you've heard the name Messi. Well, Argentina's in now if this video replay holds up, Egypt's going to be up 2-0, and
it's going to get overturned, Charlie.
You think? Okay.
This is a foul in the build-up to get the ball, to win the ball, and here's your little bit of insight for the rest of the tournament. If the official goes
look how
to the
much
monitor,
earlier that was.
Yeah, if the official goes to the monitor,
it's bad news.
It's getting overturned.
Yeah.
It almost never happens where the official goes to the monitor and ends up sticking.
Now this is not an offsides that they're
no.
They're doing here.
See, it's a foul to give them possession. Yeah, he waved it off.
All right,
and look, that's it. Literally, Charlie, from one end of the field to the next.
Right. All right, so they're going to take this goal off the board in minute 60 now.
Max has officiated some soccer games, so give us this. Look.
Yeah, they took the goal off
the board.
Jaylen
Brown, they blow a 3-1 lead to the Philadelphia 76ers. We're all like, well, how could they make this trade? And he says, y'all just blew a 3-1 lead to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? Had the most fun I've had in a long time. Well, they did. There is a ownership structure with like that financial group who controls most of it, but it's kind of like the silent partner. And they basically brought in Brad Stevens and said, "Get what you can for him." If that's the best they could get, they were not. Don't you think the damage was done?
I think that yes. I think there was damage before that because they've been trying to move this guy for a while.
I introduced you to this Pulisic comment.
Captain America, a tough quote asked by Fox after the game about.
No, you got to set the stage about his injuries, and I know just to refresh.
Yeah, he's been injured a lot in international play and in club tournaments. He's not the most available player.
Got hurt first game.
Got hurt. Had the calf knock, as they called it, and missed the Paraguay or missed the Australia match. Came back in the second half of the Turkey match when everyone else was resting. After the game, he was asked about the ankle injury. He said, "Well, now I get time to rest, so it'll be okay." It's not exactly what you want to hear from Captain America, sort of the prize prospect. He was also, some quotes are coming out. It's easy to say after the fact, but I remember when this came out, when he was talking to GQ, I believe it was, before the tournament. He was asked about the World Cup, and I'm losing my – here we go. This was back in June, last month. He said, for me personally, it's not like all that much is changing. It's just another big tournament, to be honest.
So it sort of looked like a little different in the stands. So the viewership was up a little bit.
It's one way to go about it, to try to say it's just another tournament. We're not going to approach things differently. But clearly the team approached last night differently than they had other matches.
They laid an egg. I mean, they just, it's inexcusable.
It was mentality. The mentality is the most damaging thing.
It was pitiful.
Night, yeah.
I mean, and you just don't get the coach. If the coach doesn't need to get you fired up for that game, for that stage, man, you know what the hell's going on. I mean, you're alive, you're breathing, you see the people. I mean, lined up. I mean, you're getting rock star treatment like you've never had.
Yeah, you played 4 matches. You've seen it.
You're not under a rock, man. You're right in the middle of it. I mean, you fired up. And I don't want to say to me, and look, let's say it before. You telling me you get one of your stars back? That's not an infusion of energy. That's more of a distraction. Kiss my ass, man. When you want to talk about distraction, that's an excuse. I mean, no. You go down like that. That is weak, man.
I don't think.
The thing about what's that?
I don't think that was a part of it. I saw it was floated. Maybe,
man, everybody's throwing
the
everything
world
out.
turned against you.
And kick the political amp out too. I mean, my goodness, because the president did get involved.
Yeah, if he wouldn't have played, that's a big distraction when you lose one of your best guys.
No,
it would have been an excuse at this point.
Some people even say, I don't even know if I would play him. But man, come on, please.
No.
I mean, that should have been more of like, oh yeah, game on now.
Nobody stopped Rose as much as Balogun's in this tournament for the U.S.
And Balogun was fine last night. He just didn't quite.
He was threatening. There were balls.
Yes,
there was dangerous balls in his vicinity.
But Pulisic also, keep in mind, Charlie, that this guy we were talking about. It's not just his nickname. He was such a key part of this team that they ran a lot of through things. He was very creative. To what was the last team they put all kinds of attention on. Bosnia had all kinds of attention that freed up Balogun. But he ripped up the Italian league. Max, you may fill me in, but he was one of the elite players in a prestigious league. So he has gone on, accomplished. We're talking about we need the players that are playing in Prem, and they've added more. They've increased the number of players in the Prem League and other European leagues besides just the MSL or whatever it is.
There's some guys that just
MLS,
whether it's World Cup or Olympic play, it's just not. It's not what drives them, and this is not who I would want to be my captain there. But we've seen this in the United States with some guys who really wanted to play in Olympic competition, and some of them
they love this dude. He's one of their stars. I mean, this is terrible. And maybe I'm being a hypocrite because I always say, man, don't worry about what your actions, not what you say. But this is not kind of what you want to hear.
For clarification, he wasn't the captain. Tim Ream was. He has the Captain America moniker. He's been a captain before. But
he's a holdover, and he's probably our best player before the tournament. Considered the best player.
Yes.
Yeah,
this is the Pulisic era. This was kind of the Pulisic golden age, and unfortunately, I think if anyone's legacy is going to be really, really criticized from this World Cup, I think he's going to really take a blunt from this because he didn't arrive in the biggest moment. He missed a lot of the tournament, and quote like that is not going to really sit well. He said he was disappointed in himself. I mean, I'm not here to just dump on him, but ultimately he's been a fragile player in the past, and this is part of it. But you said he's played well. He's played for AC Milan. You mentioned an Italian league. He's played for Chelsea in the Premier League. It's not like he's not worth the hype at all, but he just hasn't lived
Chelsea
up to
it. Made to the Champions couple. Was it last year? Not that PSG beat Arsenal this year, but I mean it was Chelsea last year, right?
Yeah, Man City, Chelsea.
Sometimes you just see
he
guys.
Wasn't playing for them.
He wasn't playing for him at the time.
No, he's been with Milan for a little while now.
This is not their main thing. I remember when Tim Duncan said, "I'm not playing in the Olympics again after what happened in
Charlie,
in
no. That's bad. No. Soccer players know the World Cup is the biggest. No.
I get it, but this guy's apparently this is not the main thing on his radar, though.
This should be the biggest thing.
Oh, this should
the
be.
way he's been marketed.
This is misguided, man.
No.
This is not Tim Duncan. No. Completely different.
He doesn't mean that much to Europe. Oh, and there's the second goal. Egypt has found the back of the net again. Yeah, this is going to count. They've just been the better team here.
Behind.
This has been the better team.
They're not exactly parking the bus with this lead, huh?
And they've got a world-class player in Mo Salah, who's it's actually kind of similar to what.
Oh boy! Don't! You had a chance to give me an opinion on this game before it started. Don't tell me now.
I bet +1.5.
You did?
I bet I'm on the spread. Yeah.
Wait! Oh, you clam!
The show started.
Let me educate our audience. One of the most insulting things you can call a gambler. You sitting on winners, clam, and you say, "I got this." You show your ticket when you're up 2-0. But you had every opportunity to give us this pick before.
Started at 11.
He came.
Well, you were here before 11.
Not much before 11.
We were talking about the U.S.
You are a clam.
But I would say the comparison is Mo Salah has been the star for Egypt. He's been trying to carry his team just like Pulisic was supposed to. And here they are. They're at the furthest level they've ever been. Egypt hasn't been this far. And they have arrived against Argentina, and they're up 2-0 with
I think Cape Verde is going to have a little grit against Argentina, too.
They didn't lay an egg. Mo Salah.
You usually share. You're not usually not a clam. This is not a character clam.
I've been sharing World Cup picks all along, and then at one point I had one bad day, and you kind of criticized me. So
no. Pick your own damn game. No. It's a point of reference for our discussion that we have talked about, and where this reset on this whole soccer's growing, and we're about to. I mean, if you go back and watch that pregame. They were all fooled, bro. Nobody expected that.
And
I know Zlatan and the French guy are getting paid by American Fox. Okay, so they're going to paint, the U.S. with a favorable brush, but still, they also added content to why they substantiated why the U.S. is making a move. And boy, it just gave so much back last night.
I fall on the sword. I was way wrong on this. I will just say, I work with BetRivers soccer analysts all the time, and I would say of the ones who was asked about this game, I think 6 of the 7 like US.
Oh, yeah. No.
And they're all in Europe.
Yeah.
They're doing a show in America. But they said, Belgium was not the better team in this tournament. And the U.S. should have all the home momentum behind them. It's just the momentum completely flipped for whatever reason.
How much was it comparison to Mexico? Home soil was so much better than England for this tournament. But England, like Belgium, was more of the traditional power. And certainly more highly thought of entering the tournament.
Yeah, England was a much better team coming in. Belgium we had questions about coming in. So England, while they weren't great for most of the tournament, they had shown a little bit of promise, and I would say England was still favored in that match, by the odds. So it's a little bit different in that respect because it was more about the environment and the elevation getting to and just overall that.
Lost since how long? The World Cup at home?
That was obviously a big part of it. How many?
England looked great. They look way better than they have been.
Right.
Man, they look great.
England. There were people picking England. I think more people were picking Mexico for all the reasons you stated, but England was still favored.
Both games were about to pick them. They're close. Games were.
England was about -150 to advance, I think, and the U.S. is about -130. I bet -125.
Oh, I was having to lay even money or -105 on Mexico. It wasn't.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. No. They were both like $1.30 plus even money, kind of. Real identical lines. Both home teams, so Charlie, rode, and so I followed Charlie. And so, that old saying, you ain't there for the wedding, don't show up for the divorce. I parlayed the 2 favorites today, and Argentina's getting smoked. Thanks,
I had the two favorites yesterday. I had 2 favorites yesterday. I lost.
Jimmy,
when did Charlie tell us about his streak? Very deep, huh?
He was rolling. Yeah. Favorites?
No, but deep into it.
At
Norway, I drew the line.
I also need to share a comment that you made before because Are we coming? We're getting better. We're youth programs, the U.S. soccer, whatever, the whole. And you said about a month before the World Cup, don't even have to worry about me because there ain't a whole lot of optimism brewing for this U.S. team. And then, bam, that Paraguay first half.
No, but
you know what I mean? But you remember? I mean, I think it's important to reset how much they exceeded the expectations.
That's why. Some people will tell you, they could have won the World Cup, and that was disingenuous.
No.
Tim Howard took some heat for saying they're not going to win the World Cup, and he is today saying there's some optimism. If you got completely conflated by all of this hype and thought that they were going to win it all, of course you're going to be disappointed. But that was never the thing.
We were supposed to get to the quarters. We were supposed to get to the quarters.
Play a respectful match against Spain. Before the tournament, I bet on the U.S. to make the round of 16. I didn't bet them to make the quarterfinals. They were not They weren't playing well. All the lead-up friendlies.
After you saw one or two games, like you said, they're going to quarters. You thought they were going to quarters.
I thought so because the match was there and the way they played.
They looked better than anybody thought.
And I bet them last night. So I changed during the tournament. But before the tournament, their lead-in play was not very good. And Pochettino, as good as he was in the World Cup, had not really unlocked anything before the tournament against Senegal, against Germany.
This thing's in Atlanta,
Belgium.
Right? This is in Atlanta?
This one is in Atlanta, yes.
His media days is coming up, right? But it's not in Atlanta. My famous quote, my Twitter post before I got my eyes fixed. Downtown Atlanta's a dump, but it came out sumo because S is close to D. It's supposed to be. But anyway, they actually this World Cup made downtown Atlanta a desirable location.
Beautification. Okay.
I mean, that's some power, Jack.
Yeah,
that's some strength.
2-0. No, look. There's optimism and then there's realism. If we say something we know about, okay. If you say the Saints are going to be better this year, they're going to have a jump. They're going to win 2, maybe even 3 more games they did last year. They may win the division. They may make the playoffs. Nobody expects them to win the Super Bowl. Nobody expects him to go to the Super Bowl. You can be optimistic about the Saints and say they'll be better. The quarterback will make a move, and maybe they'll win the division. But nobody's saying, and then a lot of our analysts are like, hey, this is a fashionable pick to go over their total, to be the most improvement.
Yeah, that doesn't mean this season can't be fun still.
Right, right. We know right now the Saints are not going to win a Super Bowl, but we're looking
Let's say they win the division and then get killed in the first round of the playoffs. I don't think it makes the whole season a net negative, and I think that's what we're talking about here. They laid an egg in the moment that mattered most, but the expectation wasn't that they were going to win it all. I mean,
we're brought to you by that's foolish. Yeah.
We're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store, also open in La Rose and Lockport. It is National Grilling Month. Big specials on outdoor grilling equipment. The Broil King crowns are on special right now.
I was using my Thibodeau Store equipment.
Yeah, your Big Green Egg
4th of July weekend.
All the way up to the big grills there. On special right now at the website, thethibodeaustore.com. Outdoor patio furniture, the poolside furniture, all of that available. Outdoor power equipment, cordless power tools, storage and organization, a whole lot more. If you're getting your property in shape, you're doing some improvements, you're adding on. Lumber delivery available out of multiple locations of the Thibodeau Store. You have that delivered to your property. Again, the Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, the Pierre Part Store, Highway 70 in Pierre Part. Again, open in La Rose and Lockport, and thethibodeaustore.com gets you to all 4 sites. Thibodeau Store, live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Doe's Live at Lunch. Big 12 Media Days. This keeps up. We're going to have Media Days in the middle of the College World Series at some point. But anyway, the Big 12 got out first. It got out today, and the comment this morning that caught everybody's attention. One goes to these things looking for a major breaking story. Usually you're pretty disappointed. It's talking season, but this is newsy. Texas Tech coach Joey McGuire saying that Will Hammond could be ready for week number 1. Certainly we've spent enough time talking about Texas Tech quarterbacks this summer. Jimmy tore his ACL on October the 25th last year against Oklahoma State. Getting him back for week 1, Abilene Christian, easy. And then they've got Oregon State in week 2 before they start conference play with Houston in week 3.
But not 9 months. 9 months to rehab an ACL, and then you can raise even. That's in the middle of July. Okay, so things can go wrong. But you would think a guy who's going to play quarterback and now knows he's going to be the starting quarterback. I mean, you can. I just can't see where a guy would not take his rehab seriously and do it properly and be ready to start practicing in the middle of July, in the middle of this month, and should be ready. Now, you can't take a hit, so you got to get past that little part. So you're going to be Abilene Christian before he kind of, runs and takes a couple of hits to get over that part of it as well, and then kind of gets a little feel. But he should have been ready, the whole time, with a 9 months rehab, putting him back in August.
They're saying that he will be cleared for team activities in August.
Okay.
Now, again, how far and how much?
Basically, the whole August camp.
Yeah. How much do you want to push him? I wonder if.
So he should be okay.
You could hold him out. Do you want to? If he's cleared for the Abilene Christian game, do you want to play him a little bit? You want to play him a lot, or you want to play him not at all? I would think you would want, if he's cleared, you would want to play him at least some.
Oh, he's playing
in that game.
He's going to be fine for that. He's going to be fine for that. I mean, he's not rushing back an injury. He's got to get over the mental part against somebody. It's got to happen. So you're not going to have a scrimmage where he can get hit. So that's the only thing. He's going to be fine to participate like any type of fall camp. The workouts. I don't know how long he's been able to throw. So he might be catching up on that. But, he goes out and throws. If it swells a little bit, he's got to lay off, but it's a little cat and mouse with that. But he should have probably been throwing for a month or two, to be honest.
Played in 5 games last season. The one most people remember was the loss to Arizona. Well, I was going to say the loss to Arizona State. Well. He played against Utah. He threw a couple of touchdowns with no interception. That was in September. And then the week before he got hurt, they lost to Arizona State, which I believe was their first loss of last season.
It was.
It was a close game.
It's the only loss, huh?
In the regular season. He threw 2 touchdown passes, and he had an interception through 167 yards. And I think he had a decent day running the football against Arizona State. Yeah, he had 50 yards and a touchdown.
I watched the whole Arizona State game. They fell behind. Arizona State jumped on them. They kind of came out flat. And then they fought back, and they took the lead late. I think they kicked it off exactly. Argentina tied it up.
Maybe offside.
Come on, Max.
Messi is celebrating like he scored. I think there's a very close. We're going to look at it, but it might be a messy moment here.
A messy moment.
Messy moment, better than Bosnia.
Oh my goodness!
We see that they are very poetic in their coverage, don't you think, Max? When they talk about soccer, I think.
Look, the Europeans we can do language just better than us. I hate to say it. These old school writers, there's some way that they dictate right now that I'm kind of into. I love the way they just describe certain things. Their catchphrases.
All right, as we talk about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, let us know what the result of this replay, what you think, Mr. Soccer official. The windows, doors, siding, shutters, shades, all at Relief Windows. Top quality. All of this stuff. Exceptional customer service. I can vouch for him firsthand, man. Came over, scheduled an evaluation. Probably sat down, evaluated, looked at it, analyzed it, pulled up the computer, did a computer rendering, modify this. Hey, you like this? You like this schedule? Boom. We ordered them. They come in. They schedule an installment. Man, show up right on time, clean up after themselves, which if you do any type of remodeling, that could be an issue. So you talk about just first-class operation and the most quality of the. Replacing wood windows is not cheap. You don't want to be doing this every so often. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. It stays.
It wasn't actually that close. I thought it was a different player who touched the ball.
Messy. It's messy. It counts. It's messy. It counts.
Going to minute penalty, 85, tied at 2, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place. Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Into minute 88, tied at 2 in the World Cup, Egypt and Argentina. Major League Baseball this afternoon, Mizrachi going for the Jacob Mizrachi going for the Brewers. I would think that would line him up to start the All-Star game. That's what they want.
Yeah, he's starting the All-Star game.
So he gets to start today against the Cardinals. That game goes here in about 25 minutes.
With the Phillies guy that I put out yesterday, with his disaster yesterday, they are he's like minus 450, minus $5 for Cy Young right now. Mizrachi.
And Paul Skeens going for the Pirates today. The Pirates have not won a Paul Skeens start since May 12th. That is 9 games in a row. He's coming off the worst outing of his career last time against Philadelphia, giving up 7 runs.
Is he going tonight?
4 innings. He goes tonight.
Yeah.
Late afternoon game, 5:40 at home against the Braves. Pitt's minus 150 in that game against Atlanta.
Yeah, the 540 is pretty general. That's 640 local, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved them up like 20, 25 minutes, what they used to, try and get these people home. So anyway.
Jimmy, I won't be a clam. We've got another World Cup match later today. This is a doozy. Switzerland, Colombia. I had bet Switzerland pre-tournament at 9-1 to make the semifinals, but Colombia has been outstanding in this matchup. I'm really intrigued. I think it's going to be tight affair, low scoring. The under 2.5 is like minus 165. You can do like alternate Asian lines, but I think this is like a 0-0, 1-1 type of draw in 90 minutes. I would maybe bet the tie and the under.
Highly entertaining game, huh?
I think so.
Is this entertaining?
This is entertaining, but a much higher score. I think Switzerland that they play.
The pregame last night was entertaining. The game before, Spain, late score, entertaining. And that tremendous poached egg last night.
Not so much.
Adding 7 minutes. 7 minutes of added time here at the end of 90.
7 minutes?
7 minutes.
I said 8, Max said 5.
7 is what they're adding.
Oh, you switched.
I said 6.
You did say 6. Come on, Messi.
Ball. Okay. This is thrilling stuff.
Tomorrow at the House of Sport. Dick's House of Sport.
In Mall, Louisiana.
Ballistic jerseys, baby.
Argentina might be sold out. I got to get one. I'm going.
We'll get you an Egypt jersey if they win.
Sure.
On here.
Thanks
to Doze Eat Place for being our host again. Tomorrow we'll be in the Mall, Dick's House of Sport. Jordan back in the studio for Max, for Jimmy. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.